Most websites fail at converting users into customers before the user even goes through the whole website. This usually happens in the hero section, the first section in the website. And in fact, studies show that you have about 5 to 7 seconds to actually convince someone to stay on your website. And if your image, your headlines, your CTA isn't clear, they're probably just going to bounce off your website. A generic headline that could belong to any business, or blurry stock photos that scream, "This is a templated website," or no clear CTAs. And this causes visitors to wonder who you are, where you're based, what you do, should they trust you? And the truth is, they're probably not going to give you this extra time to find this out, because it probably is somewhere down in your web page. But this is the hero section, and this is the thought process when they land in your hero section, which is the first section on your website. And that's why a strong hero section matters so much. I would even go as far to say it's the make or break to your website being successful. And when your hero section is done right, you could have a majority of the work already completed before the user even starts scrolling down on the rest of the sections in your website. And in this video, I'm going to break it all down. So let's get straight into this video. Right, so here we have a doc of that we're going to be going through before we actually go into the tutorial of us building this hero section. So the title of this is called Mastering Hero Section, and underneath here we have a great hero section equals clarity plus trust plus action and plus proof. That is what makes a great hero section. So let's get straight into it. The first thing here is a clear benefit driven headline. When you make your headline or your main headline in your website, especially in your hero section, you want this headline or title to be geared towards the customer, what they want to hear, what you do. So whatever your service is, you want to tailor your title or your headline to be the benefit of what a customer could get working with you. So for an example is, if you're a cleaning business, a great hero section title will be a spotless home without the stress. There is very simply a spotless home without the stress. That's what a cleaning company do. They're going to give you a spotless home without causing any stress. Now this is obviously going to work much better than something a little bit more vague like innovative cleaning. So using sub headlines for extra context is very, very powerful, because it lets you get away with main headings that might not be as clear and direct, and that way you could kind of go to, like, for the main heading you could kind of use something that you might want to use. For example, let's say you have a tagline for your business that you always kind of use and you want to use it on your website, but you don't really want to, you don't want to change it, but you know that this tagline isn't as descriptive and it isn't as direct, and it could leave users confused on what you do. Then that's where you would need a great sub headline that is going to be for extra context. So for an example, if you have a vague headline for your cleaning business, then an example of a good sub headline will be local residential cleaners in London, for an example. That way you have your main heading that might be a tagline that you really want to use, and underneath that you have your sub headline that is going to be used for SEO and is also going to be used to give the users more context. So underneath that, we're going to have strong visuals. You're going to need strong visuals. And what I mean by strong visuals for your hero section is strong visuals like photos and videos, right? So the first one we see here is action based. This is where if you just take a photo of, if you run a cleaning company, if you take a photo of yourself or your employees cleaning a property, that's a great photo. Or if you're a roofer and you take a picture of you or your employees on a roof site, that's a great photo. These photos, no matter where this photo was taken from, whether it was taken from your iPhone or it was taken from an Android, it doesn't really matter. A photo like this where it's real, it was taken by you, it's your staff, it's your company logo, it's your company van that might be in the background, they're wearing your uniform. A photo like this will always be more valuable and will always work better than a high quality photo that you got from a high quality stock photo. A photo like this will always work better than stock photos. So then we have our primary call to action. So our primary call to action, this is action words like book, get, start. For the primary call to action, what you want to just keep in your mind is this is the most ideal scenario, basically. The most ideal scenario for your business, which will be someone went on your website and they booked straight away, they submitted, they started, your ideal outcome for your users on your website should be your primary call to action, basically, right? What your secondary call to action should do, it would just basically be a less scary commitment for the user, for example. So if booking or call now or start is a bit too much of an intimidating call to action for someone who isn't too sure if they want to buy right now or not, then your secondary call to action will be a call to action that kind of lowers that intimidation that a user might get when they see your primary call to action. So a lead capture, you want to have some way to capture leads. So you can use a form. You want to keep the form fields about 3 to 5 fields. You don't want to ask them too much questions, especially if this is on your hero section, your home page, where people didn't actually click onto your form or click onto a specific page to fill out a form. If they did, like if you had a form for a specific reason and is in a separate page and they click that page, then obviously you can have as much fields as is needed. But with this one, where they're just going to be landing on your homepage or your hero section and they see this form, you want to make the form very, very easy for them to submit. Underneath there, we want to have a lot of social proof and we want to have trust badges. You can use Trustpilot, you can use Google, you can use Facebook. We're going to go through some of these trust badges and stuff like that in the tutorial, but these are a few ones of that you can use. And if you have no trust badges, if you're a new company or you just don't have one yet, then what you could do is you could just put in some value propositions. Again, in this tutorial, I'm going to go through in this video, I'm going to go through that also. And in the navigation support, your navigation on your website needs to be stupid simple. It needs to be very, very simple. You don't want to complicate it with, anything too fancy. You just want to have the normal pages, services, testimonials, pricing, book now, contact us, and leave it at that. You want all of the pages to be very, very simple to navigate. And that is pretty much it for the key components in a hero section. Okay, so this is the blank page. Now I already started with the hero section and not the hero section, the header and the footer. So that's why we see this over here. But we're just going to start off with creating the hero section. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a section, but this section is going to be with 2 columns. So we're going to choose this one over here. And then with the width of our section, we want to go with 1350. So 1350, right? Then we're going to give this section some background. Going to go with a gradient and we're going to go with these 2 colors over here. Now this is going to be edited later on. We just need to put in some of the components in the hero section first. So we're going to start off with the heading. I like to use this plugin over here, this heading element over here, because it has a lot of features. So now we're just going to need to put in our actual heading text. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in our heading text. So our heading text is professional cleaning. Now I'm going to put a bracket over here like this, just because I do want to put the other bit in a focus title so we can change the coloring of this part of the title. So done right and on time. And I'm going to cover it up with that bracket there. Now underneath that, I want to add in a subtitle. Now obviously, well not obviously, but I could just add in a subtitle much easier and just click over here and then add in a subtitle. But for this, I want to have a button right beside it. So in order to do that, what we're going to need to do is going to drag down our intersection down here. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to put in our heading over here on the left side of the column. And this is going to be our subtitle, right? So I'm just going to change the tag and I'm going to change this to "We don't just clean, we reset spaces." Okay. And then beside it, we're going to want to put in a button, and this button is going to be our phone number. So I'm just going to actually write in our phone number on the button. 1 second. +44 770 900 123. All right, so that's the phone number. And then I want to add in an icon as well. So for the icon, we're going to click over here on this one right here. No, this one. Choose this one here for our icon. And now what we're going to do is underneath, we're going to add in our photo element just underneath this intersection here. So now we're going to start off with styling each of these elements. So we're going to start off with the main heading. So we're going to go over here to title. We're going to change the color of this text and we're going to change the font. For the font, we're going to be going with outfit. So we chose outfit, and then for the weight, we're going to go with 700. And then for the sizing, we're going to go with 88. And then we're going to need to adjust the line height to about 70 pixels, or actually increases because the G is overlapping the C. Right. So now we're going to go to our focus title. And then we're not even going to go on here on the color bit. We're going to go over here and we're going to go to use text fill. And then on use text fill, we're going to be able to change it to the colors that we want. And the colors that we want is this right here and this over here. Now, as you can see, this is very hard to see. So what we're going to do is going to go to radio, and then we're going to play around with the position of our gradient. I usually like it where it's about here. Or, sorry for this, but I'm just going to change the color right here live. Right, something like that, just where we can see a little bit of a gradient, but we can still see the text as well, because with the dark purple, I think it was just a bit too hard to see the text. So I just adjusted the coloring there. Now we're going to go over here to our subtitle, and we're going to change this as well. For the font, we're going to go with the same font. We're going to be using the Alpha font, and we're going to go 500. And then for the line height, we're going to adjust this line height also. So I'm going to go with this right here, 26. So I mean 24 pixels for the line height. So we're going to adjust the line height also. Then I'm going to change up the colors as well for this subtitle. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to change this to white. And then for our subtitle, I'm going to go over here to style, and I'm going to make this an italic style just so it kind of has that bend. And then for the button, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to buttons, and then we're going to remove the background, completely remove the background. That was a mistake. Completely remove the background, and we're going to change the font. And again, we're going to be using the Alpha font. And then we're going to increase the height. And now we're going to need to give this a border. So in order to give it a border, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to border type. I'm going to choose solid. If you wanted to choose double, if you wanted dotted or dashed borders, you can do that. But for this, we're just going to go with solid. And then for the border width, we're going to go with 3. And then we're going to change the border color to the purple. And I'm just going to click over here just to see what it looks like. All right. Might even just increase that border width to about 4 just so it's a little bit more bold. All right. Okay. Perfect. So we have our subtitle and we have this over here. So now what we need to do is we're just going to leave the photo like this on the placeholder, because we're going to need to get started on the other side. Just because, and before I can carry on with editing, this left column, the width might need to be adjusted based on what's put on the right. So now we're going to start working on the right, and this might look a bit messy now, but it will all come together and be cleaned up once we're all done. So now we're going to start over with the right side of this hero section. So what we need to put over here is we're going to put in our value propositions. You could put in really whatever. We're just going to have a list, and what we're going to put in is our value propositions and more information about what we do. So we're going to go over here and we're going to search up icon list, right? And then we're going to go over here and slide up to the right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to actually write in what we want to write in first before I edit the styles. So we're going to put, for the first one, we're going to put satisfaction guaranteed. I'm actually just going to copy and paste these. So 1 second. One guaranteed. And then for the second one, what we're going to do is we're going to go with, let me a second. Paste these in. We're going to go residential cleaning experts. And for the last one, we're going to go with trusted local cleaners. All right, so now this is hard to see, very hard to see. So first thing we're going to do now that we have all of these written out is I'm going to change the typography. So I'm going to go over to text, gonna go over here to change the color. For the font, we're gonna go with outfit as well, and then we're gonna increase the height of these. I'm gonna increase the height to about 30 pixels. Now, the icons beside this, we're not going to be using the default icons. What we're going to be using is SVG. Now, you guys can download SVG icons online with websites, or you could just make your own on Canva and download them as SVGs. That's what I do. So for the first one, we're going to be using this Tumult one we have. Second one, we're going to be using this one over here. And then for the third one, we're going to be using this one over here. Where is it? There we go. Now we're going to go back and we're going to increase the icon heights now that we have them put in. Going to leave them about 30, 32 again. And I'm just going to increase the space between all of our line items in this list. So we have it to about 10 pixels now. So you see we have all these. Now for the icon, I might just increase just a tad little bit, like so. Right, so now underneath this, we want to add in our trust badges. So we want to add in not trust badge, but our review badges. So Facebook, Google, and Trustpilot. So how we're going to need to do that is we're going to need to add in another intersection underneath these value propositions or icon lists. So we're going to add in 2 there, but we're going to need 3. So we're just going to click on one of these icons and I'm going to add in a new icon. So there we have 3 icons. So now what we're going to need to do is we're going to go over here to elements and we're going to need to search on icon box. So we're going to go over here to icon box. And then we have our icon box. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to go over here to upload SVG, and then we're going to look for, or was it a photo? I might have made a mistake. I'm going to do it right here live with you guys. I think I might have just used an image box to do this, not an icon box. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it was an image box. So now, instead of an icon box, we're going to use image boxes here. So we're going to go over here and we're going to find our first image and we're going to go for the Facebook icon. Then what we are going to need to do here for the title is we're just going to need to put in stars to represent our review. So what you could do is you could just open up your emojis, or you could copy and paste a star. But I'm just going to find star here. Got our star. Like that, and I'm just going to copy and paste one, and I'm going to paste this in 5 times. And if it was 4.8 and you guys wanted to use a half, I mean 4.5, and you guys want to use a half, you guys can also get half stars also. So I'm going to remove the description, and we're just going to have the stars, and we're going to have actually no, we are going to have the description, sorry, 5.0 rating. So we are going to have a description. So we're just going to have a description, the stars, and the image. So now I want the image to be on the left like that, and I want to reduce the sizing of the image firstly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to see where it says width. I'm going to reduce the width of this. 15 seems about right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to content, and then we're going to reduce the size of the stars. 10, 11 seems about right. And then we're going to do the same here with the last bit where we said rating. I'm going to change the typography here to outfit. And then the gap is just a little bit too much. So I'm going to go over here to box, and then we're going to reduce the gap of these two. Perfect. So now I think the image could just be a tiny bit bigger. And so could the stars. So I'm not even going to make this big. I'm just going to make the stars a little bit bigger. Right. Like that. That's perfect. And then we increase that a little bit. Perfect. So now what we're going to need to do is I want to give this a background. Each of these a background. So we're going to click over on our image box and we're going to go to advanced. We're going to scroll down all the way until we see background. And then we're going to choose a background. And then we're going to choose color white for our background. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and we're going to go down here and we're going to just reduce the transparency of the background to about here. So this color code exactly is the one I'm going to be using. So right here. Now what we're going to do is, you see the issue is the padding. So we don't have enough padding on the left or the right side of what we have enough on the right, just not on the left side of this. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to increase the padding on the left. Also increase the padding on the top also. And increase a little bit of the padding on the bottom. So let's see how it looks like now. Perfect. So for the form, guys, we're going to be using Zoho Forms. I'm not actually using the built-in form with Elementor or WP Forms or Contact Form 7. If you want to use any of these type of form builders for your website or for this hero section, that's completely fine. You could do that. The only reason I'm using Zoho Forms is just because I'm very familiar with the Zoho ecosystem, and when it comes to sending out automations for these form submissions, or if you want to add someone into your cold email campaign or newsletter campaign, all these type of things that happens after a form submission happens, and automations and workflows, I'm more versed with Zoho, and it helps, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Made it kind of long, but Zoho, I'm just familiar with Zoho. And yeah, so to add in the Zoho form, what we're going to do is, I created the Zoho form already on Zoho. All we need to do here is we just need to go over to get our HTML. And then when you create the form on Zoho, Zoho is going to give you your, like, the code snippet to use on your website to paste it in. So I'm just going to paste my form snippet over here. So I'm just going to get this now. And I'm going to go over here to HTML code, and we're going to paste this in. Perfect. So now you see our form has been pasted in. So this is the form we made on Zoho. Now I just want to give this form a background color. So what we're going to do for that is, we're going to go over here to background. I'm going to go to background type. I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to change the color for this to white, like that. So now I'm going to go back out, and we're going to see how this is coming along, how this hero section is coming along, right? So not too bad. Everything seems to be okay. Now what we're going to need to do is, I'm going to increase the size of our left column. So we're going to just find this one over here and drag it. I'm happy to, I want this to still be 2 columns. So I'm happy to, that looked nice. I just want to get the form to about 2 columns, like there. Just so all of the questions is easier to see with just glancing rather than scrolling down. So now that we have our form over here, and we have our value propositions, and we have our badges. Now, as you see, what happened with our badges when we reduced the sizing, I totally forgot, is we should have done this after, but we're just going to need to adjust these trust badges again. So just change the padding. So I'm just gonna I think about 25 on the left should be about good for all of these. So let's see. Yeah, 25 seems to be about perfect. So now what we're going to do is just going to copy this, and we're going to click on copy, and we're going to click on paste style. So now, why did this not paste over? Okay, so now we click on paste style, and it's all looking the same. So now what we need to do is, we're going to want to add in our image over here, the main image we're going to be using. And the main image we're going to be using is somewhere here. Let me find it here. Right, so we're just going to be using this image of the company staff and the company van behind them. So now what we need to do as well after that is, we're going to need to put in some client logos. Well, it's not actually client logo, but the element is called client logo. It's really just going to be some trust badges. Client logos. We're going to find our client logo underneath here. So as you can see, we're going to need to add in our photo for each of these sections. So we're going to do that now. All right, so now all of the client badges has been added. So now, like the white background doesn't really fit, so we're going to remove that. So we're going to go over here to style, and where it says background type, we're going to click on background, and then we're going to go over here and transfer. Okay, that's not even it. It's this one over here. This one here where it says logo, and then we're going to go like that to remove the background on this. So as you can see, that is perfect. Now I just want to increase the spacing with this just a little bit. Just increase that a tiny bit. Okay, and then for the opacity, I'm just gonna reduce that a little bit. just so when it's hovered over, you see a little, kind of looks like it's a glow effect. So I'm just gonna do that over now. So now we have all that. Now what I want to do is I just want to add in a little glow underneath this form over here, just so it kind of pops out a little bit more. So to do that, we're going to go click on our form, so say edit with HTML, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to click on border, and then for the border we're going to click on border shadow, and then we're going to change the color of the border shadow to completely white, but we still can't see it, as you can see. So in order to actually see this blur, what we're going to need to do is going to go over here to spread. I'm going to increase the spread. So we're going to increase the spread. 26 seems about right. And the opacity, I might just decrease that a little bit. And then see how it looks. Perfect. Now I just want to increase this blur a tad bit more as well. You just kind of want to play around with this until you're happy with it. And then we're going to give this some spacing on the left so it's not too close to the right side. Sorry there, I just hit the mic. So we're going to get some space on the left side so it's not too close on to the other column. So we're going to go over here, wrong side. I'm going to go over here and increase this. Increase it. Perfect. So now minus the side. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to check everything is right. We have our heading, we have this, we have all of our value propositions. So that is all perfect. Now the reason I wanted to check everything was fine before we move on is because I'm going to push this all the way up to the top so that we can get the transparent look. Now before we make any more changes and we move it up to the top, I want to add in just a little more effect to our background. So I just want to add in some particles, moving particles. So how we're going to do that, we're going to go to style, and then we're going to see where it says particles royal add-ons. Now to get this, you will have to have the royal plugin downloaded. If you don't want to download it, that's no problem. It's just going to delete the default particle animation they have, and I'm going to paste in the one we want, and there we see we have the stars and kind of like circles running around it. So perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over, publish this, and now we're going to be dragging the section up to give it the transparent look. So we're going to click over on advance, unlink these together, and we're going to go minus, and we're going to keep on scrolling up till everything is starting to kind of look right. So we definitely need to cover the menus, the icons, and the call to action button we have. It's going to scroll it up there to about where our info box is, and then what we're going to do is we're going to unlink the padding, and then we're going to increase the padding, and that's going to push the hero section and all of our text downwards. Okay, so now let's see how it's looking. Perfect, and it's looking good. Now the width over here is much wider than it is over here, so it just gives a bit of an off looking look, but we will fix that. But before we can move on, or before we could do anything, this hero section is, at the start of the video we covered up what a hero section needs to have. This hero section has most of these things put in, but the thing that we need to make sure we have with this hero section is that this hero section is mobile optimized and is mobile friendly. So that's what we're going to need to do. We're going to have to optimize this for mobile, and we're going to do that right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here. As you can see, this is a complete mess on mobile. So how we're going to fix that is we're going to go over here. So the first thing is we're going to reduce the size of this heading over here. So I'm going to reduce the sizing of this heading, and also reduce the size of the line height. Okay, so we're just gonna, about 1 is fine. 1 is usually the default, so 1 is perfect. And then for our subtitle, what we're gonna do is gonna push this to the left, make sure there's no padding, distracting that. We're gonna reduce the size of our button number. Very, very quick. Reduce the sizing. Okay, and I'm just gonna click this now to see what we're working with, see how it's looking like. Okay, so it's working fine. Something I actually forgot to do is just to add in a border on our image. So we're gonna do that here on mobile. It will be the exact same way to add a border in with the desktop view. So we're just gonna click over here on solid. I'm gonna go for a width of 4. We're gonna choose white for our border, and then I'm going to actually give this a radius of 5. So let's see how that is. Perfect. I think this white doesn't really look nice with this right here. Let me see. I think it pops out a bit too much. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with this type of a border. Yeah, we'll go with this border. So we have our heading, we have our subtitle, and we have this. Now you see the issue comes in where we have our everything here, basically the value propositions, the trust badges, and the form. So we're just going to quickly fix all of this right up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fix up the client logo. So how we're going to do that is it's going to be very simple. Just go over here to settings, and then we're going to see slide to show on mobile. So what we're going to do for slide to show on mobile is we're going to choose 3, show 3 slides on mobile. Not 3, not 4, 5, 3. So now what we're going to do with that is we're going to reduce the margin on the top, and we're going to do the same with the padding. I mean on the bottom. Okay, that all perfect. Seems to be okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fix up our icon list as well. So we're going to reduce the size of our icons, same with our text. Okay, and then with our trust badges, what we're going to do here as well is we're going to actually just create a whole new trust badge, and then we're going to just hide it on desktop and hide this one on mobile. So I'm just going to click over here on this one, and we're going to duplicate this one. So as you can see, we have 2, right? So what we're going to do now is we have 3 sections. So we're going to each column, we're going to give this a width of 33.33. Same here, 33.33 and 33.33. And then we're going to remove all the paddings that we had from the previous one. And then we're going to click it again, and we're going to link these all together. Give this some more padding. Then I'm going to unlink them when it's about 5, and then I'm going to give some more padding just at the top and the bottom. You don't have to link them then unlink them like the way I did it there. It's much faster if I do it that way. So then I want to increase the image size a little bit more, like that, and then we're going to copy and paste and do the rest for the other 2. And then we're going to click over on this section, and we're going to hide this section for mobile devices because we don't want to see this one on mobile, and we're going to hide this one on desktop devices. Hide on desktop, tablet, all of these here. The reason I usually like to make a whole new element for mobile is just so we don't mess up anything on the desktop, and so the desktop mode actually looks nice. So that's another reason why. So then we're gonna have our form underneath here. So lastly, guys, this is it. So guys, this is it. Whether or not you want to change the styling, you want to put your text in the middle, you want to put your image in the background in the hero section, however you want to do it, this is the core rules that you should follow when you are creating a hero section, where you should have all of the most critical information about your business in the hero section, and where you need to build a lot of trust and a lot of clarity in your hero section, where we have reviews over here, we have our value propositions over here. Here you can even add some of your services if you want to. We have our title over here, we have a subtitle over here, we have a very intentional image here where we're using the staff, and we also have the company van. Now this is an example, but if this is a real website and is a real business, then try your best to use something real, action-based photos, whether it's even just you, if you're a sole trader and it's just you outside your van. That is still better than using a company van, even though the quality of your van might be lower quality than a van you might find on the internet. Photos like this, action-based photos, will always work better than, you know, nice high quality photos that are stock photos and don't really deliver the point of your business. So thank you guys all for enjoying this video. I hope you guys all followed through the tutorial perfectly fine, and let me know if you guys have any suggestions or critiques in the comments down below. Thank you.